Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I have been fighting with my earphones here for the last 20 minutes, but I finally got them synced up to my computer. Now, last night, for the first time since the current events began, we went to Mexican, and I had a margarita. I took a picture of it, and I put it on Twitter yesterday evening, because it was kind of weird to go in a restaurant and they only let so many people in now, and all of the waiters and waitresses have masks on. It's a very bizarre world we live in now, but the cheese dip was good and the margarita was good, and I will vouch for that. Okay, now I want to go and I want to thank Mickey B. Fresh for keeping me on this path. I had gone over this the other day. I am hung up on this. Because this keeps popping up. Remember, this is that Rachel Lee post. Rachel Lee's the person that disappeared off of Twitter. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is what I have found to be the common theme among a lot of these people who have disappeared from Twitter and who are anonymous, and they appeared, back in 2018, I said it seemed kind of tinfoil hattish to me, some of the things they were saying, because it seemed so hard to believe. But now, having been in this for a lot longer and looked around and paid attention, a lot of the things make sense now. And this statement right here, where she said that Ripple's current partnership focuses on strategic interests, FX markets, oil markets, derivatives, not so much remittances. Okay. So I think the point of Rachel Lee, as well as that person I showed you yesterday, Kendra Hill, which I think could be the same person, is that the big picture is derivatives. That's what this is all really about. All the money. It's about all the money. So what are the two most secretive things about Ripple? What are the two things that are not talked about? It's Codius and Codius and Polysign. We're not supposed to talk about these things. This is Codius's website. It's still up. It's a project that's being worked on, but we can't talk about it just like this. Polysign, 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 Polysign. So we're not allowed to talk about Codius and Polysign. So for that reason, I decided I wanted to do a show just about those two things. All right, so here we go, and I want to give Mickey Fresh a shout out. Mickey B. Fresh, he's at Mr. Fresh Time. Now, before I go into all of this, I want to give a caveat. I am not a developer. I am not a techie. I am just a guy with a financial background who finds all of this fascinating, and so I never really go deep on the technology part of things on this channel because it's just not my bag, and I don't want it to be my bag. All of the technicalities, that's what we need people like Mickey B. Fresh for, is because they are smart in those areas. And so all I have to do is go and find the smart people, and it's that way it can be explained to me, and I can show it to you and let them explain it in their words and show you what's important. So Mickey B. Fresh had sent me a few things. One is this: Codius complete. Now, and first, before we go into this, remember, Codius is a smart contract platform. Okay, we've been led to believe that Ethereum is this great smart contract platform and that it's the only show in town, but what we do know about Ethereum is that it was built on proof of work, and proof of work does not work. And that's why Vitalik Buterin, that created Ethereum, had to come up with Ethereum 2.0, because he made a mistake. He shouldn't have built it on proof of work, because it doesn't work. Now, meanwhile, Ripple does not ever talk about Codius. Okay? Never. And Polysign. So, when things seem secret, there's got to be a reason. Just like when Twitter accounts that are saying certain things and are anonymous disappear all of a sudden, that kind of stuff gets my attention. Like when Hodor disappears and you never hear from him again, and I'll show him in this video where he talked about Codius as well. All right, now Codius, completely platform neutral. Any programming language can use it, and any digital asset system can use its approach. Codius uses another concept called smart oracles. A smart oracle is anything that can be asked a question and a non-biased answer in returning. The important thing to understand is that Codius is neutral as to whom you ask your verified questions and how you do it. The Codius approach to smart contracts frees developers from being locked into any one system, which is the holy grail for the next generation financial and business applications. And then Mickey B. Fresh sent me this slide. I don't know where this slide is from, but it looks like things that we've seen from like the World Economic Forum before, but I don't know that that's where it's from. But it says here on the left side, it says, what is the universe? What is the universe of things I need people to agree on? And then it shows you a group of actors, some known: central bank, commercial bank, Ripple, XRP. Who do I trust to maintain a truthful record? And then down here it says custodian bank, Ripple Gateways, clearinghouse, Eris, Ripple, Codius, Ethereum. In other words, a group of actors, some known and some known, so that I guess it can be secret or not secret. But anyway, this was a pretty interesting little slide. And then Mickey B. Fresh sent me this video to show you, and this is good. This is Chris Larsen talking about Codius, and he's talking about, now remember, when you watch this, we're supposed to believe that Codius was put on the shelf and they just went on to do other things. All right, and that was around 2015 or so. Then they just, I guess, didn't have time to work on it.
Ripple Labs is developing something called Codius, and I've been looking at that, and it's probably a few months away from really being usable to a developer, but it theoretically seems like it may make it possible to build systems that autonomously transmit money without anybody owning those systems. Basically, I guess, Chris, do you have any idea of maybe how that might be used, and maybe does anyone else have any comments on autonomous money transmitting systems in the cloud, in the ether?
Sure, yeah. No, we're really excited about Codius, and that's Stefan Thomas and Evan Schwartz, absolutely brilliant engineers who have been spearheading that, along with an increasing number of our staff. So a lot of it is obviously smart contracts. Smart contracts have traditionally been attached to distributed ledgers. I think originally it was thought that you have distributed ledger first, and then you'd have smart contracts built on top of it. We've started taking a different approach with Codius in making them two completely separate streams, so that with Codius you can both use any programming language and you can use any form of ledger. So whether it be a distributed ledger, decentralized ledger, whether it be PayPal, centralized ledger, Chase, whatever, we think those smart contracts should be able to tie anything of value from any counterparty or non-counterparty. So that's a kind of a fundamental foundation of it. But what that should do then is allow, to your point, the idea of autonomous agents. So a good example would be, today the only kind of autonomous agent that can exist is basically a virus, which is usually having to do bad things to support itself. Originally, the idea behind viruses was that you could have benevolent viruses, and we think with things like autonomous agents that can think of a program that can exist in the wild and kind of have a bank account. An application cannot go to Chase and open a bank account, which means it can't support itself. It can't take in payments from customers. It can't hire developers to improve itself. And something like Codius would allow that to happen. So you might have a world where you have benevolent agents running around that could actually be antibodies for viruses. That would be one example, taking the place of antivirus companies. You could have an autonomous agent that would be like an Uber, where you wouldn't need Uber. You'd have a direct sort of connection between the customer and the driver. That driver actually could be eventually a self-driving car. What gets really interesting there is you could theoretically eliminate profit margins because autonomous agents don't need to make profit. So these things will have a lot of, obviously this is in the future a bit, but this is real now. You can do this all today, and you'll see a lot of new tools coming out. But that's the world where I think you could see 1 billion times 1 billion transactions a day, if you're really going into a world of an internet for value with smart agents. So we shouldn't be talking about technology that replaces existing payment numbers. We should be talking about a world like the Internet of Information, where you see just exponential increases in the amount of value being transmitted.
It's a very interesting thing. Banks have been doing things called letters of credit for hundreds of years, but the technology has not been there to bring it down to what Airbnb needs or balance payment does, right? So I think Codius is part of an effort that can bring it down to the micro level and can do real-time settlement based on conditions that are set by, hopefully, human beings, right? So,
I mean, the technology that underlies Codius is pretty remarkable. In fact, I'm very familiar with cryptography, and there are very few people that know more about cryptography than that I run into. And Stefan really is created this incredible. That he exploited some techniques that very few people know about in creating Codius. So from a technology point of view, it's like a 10 compared to if you consider ACH being a 1. I mean, it's like so far advanced. So I mean, it's really remarkable in terms of what you can do with it and the underlying technology that it's built upon. It's really tour de force.
Wow. So that was another guy not even from Ripple that's talking it up like that. Now, here's a clip I wanted to show you. I'm not going to show the whole thing. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. This is David Schwartz back in 2015 talking about
which is
Codius.
the father of smart contracts, said that Bitcoin in a way is too limited for that. So there is a need for something else. Is Ripple as it is limited in the same way for adding programmability? And that is why you created Codius?
I think that's a fair statement. I mean, we could have extended Ripple to include more smart contract capabilities, just like Bitcoin could be extended to include more smart contract capabilities. But then the problem would be, what if you want a smart contract that interacts with both Bitcoin and Ripple, or interacts with Bitcoin, Ripple, and some other system, like things in the real world?
Okay.
It made more sense to develop a new platform, we think.
So does that mean that you started to integrate smart contract capability within Ripple, but then you did it as something independent?
That's exactly right, and that's what Codius is.
So let's talk about Codius. Codius, what is the purpose of Codius? I read the white paper also. It says it's smart oracle. So it's going to be a node within the Ripple network, or a node independent between networks, that is going to be connected to the real world, absorbing information, and it will also have smart contracts on it.
Right, and the important thing is that it can interact with systems like Bitcoin and Ripple, which means you can have an agent that no one person can control that can manage funds according to rules that are agreeable to a number of people. It's essentially an attested hosting platform, so that you can run software in a very secure way, so that more than one person can trust that that system will follow the rules that they've agreed on.
So if I am like a side chain for Bitcoin, or some application on Bitcoin, or some application on Ethereum or Ripple that needs external information, I can go to a Codius node, which is external to all networks and independent, and get that information to execute a contract, for example.
Right, and that contract can hold keys to funds on networks like Bitcoin and Ripple that it will only use in accordance with the software in it. So the problem that you would have today if you wanted to deploy some sort of a smart contract-based service is, where does the smart contract run? And everybody has to test that, has to trust that execution environment if the contract is going to handle their funds. So what Codius gives you is an execution environment that's distributed and secure, and then that becomes the target platform that you can design your application to. So you already know that you're going to get a platform where everybody knows that anything that controls, like funds, will be used only in the way that they've all agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to show you a little bit of that. Now, Mickey B. Fresh had sent me this, and again, a lot of this is developer talk, but I just wanted to show it to you that these guys have been working on this, and the developers have been working on this. He says Codius 2.0 has been revamped with, I don't even know how to say that, orchestration and containers on serverless hosts. Codius hosts will be used for verifying payments with ILP stream receipts. Codius development is waiting on payment verification functionality being implemented by interledger wallets. And these are just these are apparently developers that are working on Codius. And they are, I'm not going to read all these things, but he's just showing that these guys are updating what they're working on, and they are actively working on this. It was not shelved, is the point. Now, this handle right here on Twitter has caught my attention. It's Esoteric XRP, has been saying a lot of things leading down this same path. And it's recent too. Understanding that XRP ILP plus Polysign plus Codius equals game over. XRP moons equals trillions in tokenized derivatives. Question: how long has Codius been in beta? Is this still the plan, or was Codius abandoned for Ethereum 2.0? And then comes in with these. Okay, I'll break it down for you. Phase 1, XRP ledger and ILP, atomic swaps between ledgers. Phase 2, cross-border payments, intrabank payments equals testing the ledger. This is always what I have felt like we were living through for the last 2 years, is testing the not last two, even since 2013. Like it's just been a testing ground, like you and I are the guinea pigs in this sandbox. That's what it's felt. That's what it feels like to me. And now he's basically saying, he or she is saying, we're here. Phase 3, tokenization of every effing thing. TOE includes derivatives market being built now. Polysign and Codius. In other words, all of the paths, everything we've been talking about leads to the introduction, the combination of Polysign and Codius. And that is where all of this leads. And the way I'm hearing it and seeing is that 2020 is the year. We know 2020 is the year for Polysign, so why not unveil Codius as well? And then there was this tweet. Continuing XRP plus Polysign plus Codius, tokenizing derivatives market, all the money. And then here's a video. And it's got Miguel Valles, who was head of markets at Ripple, and then Susan Athey, who is a Stanford professor, but she's on Ripple's board of directors. Okay, watch this. This video will blow your mind. A lot of you do not understand where Ethereum came from and where Vitalik Buterin came from. But we've talked about it a lot on this channel. Everything is connected, folks. Everything. All of this didn't just happen. Watch this. And this is, by the way, from Anders Lundberg. Give him a subscribe.
So my first question is, was Codius created to compete with Ethereum? And how was that?
Codius might have been before Ethereum.
Okay, no, okay. So
Yeah. I don't know the timing. I wasn't, so Vitalik slept on Stefan's couch for about 6 weeks back in like 2013. So Stefan's our CTO. He's our like wonderkind. He's our genius. He's the one who came up with ILP. And Stefan knows Vitalik very well. So I think there was a lot of collaboration there between, not like, months of work between Vitalik and Stefan, but just a lot of mind melding. And I don't think it was a coincidence that after Vitalik left Ripple. He didn't work for us, but he kind of interned for the world, just kind of hung out. You know, back in 2013, this wasn't very structured, right? It was just kind of a bunch of people in a room dreaming, really. I think, you know, Vitalik and Stefan, if I remind them a little bit, they went off and did similar things. So Codius wasn't meant to compete with Ethereum per se, but it was, I think, meant to do similar things. And Codius is not dead, by the way. You know, I think we may have some appetite to do some stuff with Codius, but in a much more, I think, you know, defined way than it.
So Ripple Labs has a platform called Codius, and there's another one called Ethereum out there. And both of them are trying to help people write what they call smart contracts, or computer programs that distribute money. So like the Codius platform would allow you to write a program, and it'll make it easy for people to verify the program works, that would say, if these 5 things happen, then this person gets paid. If these other 3 things happen, this other person gets paid. So we could just, for example, you know, you could think about some sort of complex financial derivative. We could take as an input the Bloomberg feed of stock prices, and we could make very complex bets about, well, if this stock goes up and this stock goes down and this other thing happens and the National Weather Service says it's sunny today, then this person gets paid. And if these other things happen, someone else gets paid. So that's going to really reduce the barriers to entry for creating financial derivative products, and it's going to allow more people to hedge more complicated situations where there's not enough people right now to make the market worthwhile to create the asset and have it verified.
The global derivatives market is huge. Now, let's now remember, this was supposed to have been shelved, but Hodor knew that it was not shelved. He knew in June 15th, 2018 that it had not been shelved. Codius smart contracts done right. Let's go down here, and he talks about how Susan Athey had talked about this. But right here he says potential market for Codius. Susan Athey is a professor of economics at Stanford, and then he said she stated this, and I think it's from that clip I just showed you. Codius is going to really reduce the barriers to entry for creating financial derivative products, and it's going to allow more people to hedge more complicated situations where there's not enough people right now to make the market worthwhile to create the asset and have it verified. This quote is extraordinary. Not only is she talking about Codius being used for hedging and other derivatives products, she's also talking about the fact that a low-cost automated alternative to having an individual or a central authority enforce a contract may create entire new markets of derivative products. Why is this extraordinary? The current size of the derivatives market is even bigger than the Forex market. Most experts put the derivatives market somewhere between 542 trillion to 1.2 that would be quadrillion. That's 1,200 trillion, I think. Now, layer onto that number a possible increase in size due to new markets and derivatives products that may be possible using Codius. Something tells me that developers with Codius experience might encounter demand for their skills at some point in the very near future. It is an extraordinary vision that Ripple architected. I don't even know if that's a word, but I guess it is. He's a good writer. He must know. And built from the ground up. When you think of Codius and ILP working together to connect all the various ledgers, Codius is open source and available for anybody to build on. There are no limitations to the new applications, smart contracts, and financial products that can be created on the Codius platform. Enjoy the show from the sidelines, or better yet, chose to play an active role in the Codius community of developers. Now, he says here that the derivatives market's 542 trillion to 1.2 quadrillion. This is the new Polysign website. The old Polysign website said very specifically that it was created to scale into the trillions, right? For custody. Custody of what? All kinds of things. Derivatives, maybe. Now, you can't really do this video without finishing with this, my favorite piece.
So I like, some people have heard me say this before, but I'll throw it out to the audience. What is Interledger's total addressable market size? All the money. Nobody wants.
We're talking about all the money, folks. Ripple, ILP, XRP, Polysign, Codius. We're talking about all the freaking money, folks. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. And tell your friends and family that XRP, the XRP ledger, it's about all the money. These people have planned this for years and years and years. They covered all the bases. Thank you for listening.